Royal Rumble in the books. It's the Needle Wrestling Podcast. Robin Lundberg, Gene Cherry, Dave Sepperson. Let's get right to it, guys. I'm not disappointed. I know we were going back and forth on the text chain. Sami Zayn was number 30. We thought it might be some big surprise. I never hold a show to the standard of fan fiction. To me, the high drama at the end of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, that natural, organic storytelling, what sealed the deal. It made it a great show, and I was down with the ending.
I will say I half agree with you. I think a lot of people were expecting a bigger superstar at the end. If I'm being real, I love Sami Zayn, but I think when the number 30 came out, I think a lot of people were either expecting The Rock or MJF. I love Sami Zayn. I think he's great, but I think that number 30 spot, considering the history, we've seen Undertaker come out that spot. We've seen many stars, and I think that kind of took away the luster of the Royal Rumble. But I will agree with you. At the end, we got what we wanted. We wanted to see CM Punk and Cody Rhodes lock up. And honestly, that's what matters. But I will say I can't give it a great, but I'll give it a very good men's Royal Rumble. A very good men's Royal Rumble.
I'm going to say overall, the show was really good, really enjoyable. Start to finish, great matches, great finishes. I think the problem is, when we look at Survivor Series, we had like that crazy Punk return. It kind of built up that whole like, man, I think something's going to happen tonight. The internet kind of started, all day saying like, get ready, we're going to end with a bang. And so everyone's kind of like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then like, so I don't want to say it was a letdown because I think we're right. Cody winning made sense. He's going to continue, hopefully finish the story against Mania, and we can finish this terrible Roman Reigns era. But like, overall, yes, I think there was a little bit of a letdown because we all kind of like built it up like what was going to happen.
It was a letdown. It was a letdown. Let's be real. Let's not be sugarcoated. It was a letdown. Survivor Series was an all-timer, and we were let down because we thought something big was going to happen, and we got Sami Zayn. Like, I know Sami Zayn is catching a stray right now, but like that's not what the people in Florida, that's not what people around the world we're expecting. We're expecting something.
You can't hold everything to the standard of an all-timer. You can't go Survivor Series is the greatest thing I've ever seen and then expect everything to be the greatest thing you've ever seen.
You know why? You know why you can? Because right before the show, Triple H got on and said the road to WrestleMania is right now, and we're about to see something special. If we're about to see something special, I'm expecting something special, and I feel so bad for giving strays to Sami Zayn, but he is not special. And that was not it tonight.
But the road to WrestleMania was paved, and it was Cody's road. I mean, you look at this, that is long-term storytelling. We can go back to last year's WrestleMania. Roman winning is so incredibly the right decision. I can't even put it into words how good it is because it sets it up here. At this point, Cody Rhodes is undeniable. And I'm a guy who's talked his way, talked him out of these matches, talked him out of facing Roman, Rock, Roman, whatever, Cody, Punk, whatnot. But Punk going, I'm not losing to Dusty Rhodes' kid, and then Cody Rhodes winning, pointing to Roman Reigns, setting it up again after he just finished the biggest match in AEW history in the WWE Royal Rumble. Come on. It don't really get better than that. And that is their doing from beginning to end.
But Robin, let me ask you this. Did Cody really need to win tonight to set up a match with him and Roman Reigns? He could have won it next month at the Elimination Chamber. He didn't need a Rumble victory to go back-to-back to do it. They just kind of shortened any suspense of that. So now we know it's going to be Cody and Roman for the next 2 months is going to be building, where I can make a case. It could have been better had he lost tonight, and there could have been a hint of suspense. Maybe he's not going to finish the story this year. Now we know he is. So it kind of cuts any suspense from now until WrestleMania all the way in April. So I don't know if it was the right decision tonight, but we'll see. WWE, like I will give them the benefit of the doubt now, but I could easily make a case. They kind of cut the story short tonight at Royal Rumble.
Here's the thing. We don't know if that's what the finish was originally going to be. It very well could have been CM Punk was going to win, but the Seth Rollins injury might have thrown a wrench into some stuff. We'll never know. So, like, ultimately, yeah, they might have changed some things on the fly, but, like, they got to the logical end. Now, I can make a very strong argument that if they wanted to have that, like, internet-breaking moment, they should have saved the women's Royal Rumble to the main event because the TNA crossover, like that stuff was unbelievable. We'll get into all that. But like
Crazy.
that would have been like, oh my, because I literally said, what the F? Like to my television, I was like, what is happening right now? Like that's the moment you want. And so, but it happened in the first hour of the show.
We're going to get to that in a second, but that's a real wrestling nerd opinion, and I loved it, by the way. I thought it was great.
Let's not label,
no,
man.
it is. CM Punk, and the Women's Royal Rumble was great, but the TNA crossover is a wrestling nerd moment. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes is a big, massive moment. And Seth, you were saying before, I keep pointing to the wrong thing because I haven't aligned myself to where we're at. Seth, you were saying before that you needed Cody to win. And here's the thing. I didn't even want Cody to win going in, but it felt right when he won, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I felt the same way. I wanted Cody to finish the story, but I also didn't know if he needed to win the Rumble. And I always thought it was going to be Punk. But as I said, things change. But I agree. I think just Cody winning feels right. They better not mess this up, because if they put Roman over at Mania, I'm going to lose my mind, because if he's going after some arbitrary third all-time rank, like who cares? He's not catching Bob Backlund. He's not catching Bruno Sammartino. It's like, who cares if he catches Hulk Hogan's number? It is such a stupid arbitrary thing.
Cody Rhodes keeping his run of being a babyface this long and being I can make a case, he's been the face of the company without the championship is mildly impressive. Like, that's super impressive. If this man loses at WrestleMania back-to-back years, he needs to be a heel for the rest of his career. Unless they're setting up the biggest heel in WrestleMania in WWE history, there's no reason why this man should lose at WrestleMania. Like, there's none.
Again, though, last year at least plants those seeds of doubt, and which is why I really think when you look back on it historically, it's going to be one of the best booking decisions of all time. Having Roman Reigns beat Cody, the way it made everybody feel for a year, the way it made me get involved with Cody and feel like he's overcoming something and conquering something to get back there, and then culminating in the rematch.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree that I think overall it will be the right decision. I just think the problem that you loses that argument is Roman just not being around for basically a year, popping in 5 times all year. Like, that's what's frustrating, is like, yes, it might have been the right decision long term, but like, wouldn't you rather had Cody with the championship, like dominating, being like this incredible champion? Like, I feel like
absolutely
you built him even more as this epic champion, and now it's just like
it would have felt lame. I keep telling you, it would have felt lame and handed to him. He didn't have to do anything in WWE. We all know his career, but in WWE when he came back, he didn't really have to do anything. He was gone. I mean, it was an injury, and by the way, what he did in Hell in a Cell, super impressive. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't feel like he earned it, and this would be earning it.
Robin, you just named the moment that put him from, okay, he's just a guy, to the moment where fans respect him. This man wrestled a Hell in a Cell match with a torn pectoral muscle. Everyone loved him after that. He didn't need to do anything after that because of the years he put in. Had Cody held the title from WrestleMania to now, the man has cracked the code of being the ultimate babyface. He's the ultimate politician. Everyone loves him, and it doesn't feel like a John Cena where he's kind of just playing a role. It feels like you're talking to Cody Rhodes himself. So I think if Cody had the belt right now and you could have set up Cody at Punk at WrestleMania, I think it would have been a bigger match. Because to me, Roman Reigns, that title run has gotten stale. Like, I don't care about it anymore. I'm just ready for him to lose. But a Cody Rhodes run from WrestleMania to now would have felt a little more special.
And here's the problem, Rob, because I gotta call you one thing. You say like the WWE story, like, to me, I don't even care about that, because like, I think wrestling fans know what he did away from WWE, like his run in New Japan, ROH, and then AEW, like all that stuff. Even though it didn't happen under WWE, like people still know about it, and that's a part of his career, and that's what built him up to the star that he was to get to that level. So it's like, you could say, oh, he didn't earn it, but he really did. It just didn't happen in WWE, but he earned it. He got himself to that next stratosphere.
Again, Seth, you're a wrestling nerd. And that's all well and good. There's gonna be a lot of wrestling nerds listening to the show, but that's like he's too deep in it. That's too deep in the
Cody earned it, bro. Cody earned it, man. He was in the WWE for like 8 years before he left. We cannot.
But he was Stardust and dashing whatever he was.
He was there, man. Like, you saw him as a lackey for Randy Orton to a megastar now. Like, that matters, man. We cannot dismiss those moments. We can't.
Right.
Like,
We're
when
gonna
he
get
wins
to
that
y'all.
title, is all that is going to be under consideration when he fully wins that title.
We're going to get to y'all's hate of Roman Reigns here in a second. But let's go back to the beginning of the show and the Women's Royal Rumble, which was the match of the night in my mind. There was just so many great moments in the Women's Royal Rumble. I love the way they've made Nia Jax look like a monster. I loved Jordan Grace coming over from TNA. She was super impressive. I love the KOD spot between her and Bianca Belair. And I don't think Jade Cargill's debut could have gone any better. The timing of when she entered, who she performed the moves on. Obviously, I just referenced Nia Jax looking like a monster. The stare down with Bianca Belair, which was perhaps foreshadowing to WrestleMania. And then the end with Bayley deservedly, I believe, winning it. To me, that the Women's Royal Rumble was.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say, Matt,
I'll let you go, Seth.
I went back and forth between Owens and Paul and the Women's Royal Rumble as my match of the night, but I ended on the Women's Royal Rumble like you because I just think it had everything. I thought some of the wrestling had a little bit of not so clean moments, but there were a lot of young, newer wrestlers in there who were probably super nervous. I'm not going to hold that against them. But the Naomi return was incredible. I was super happy. You could see the emotion literally like took over her, and like she was like, okay, I got to get this together and like let's go. Yeah, the Jordan Grace return. It's funny when they said Naomi had won the TNA Women's Championship. I was like, oh damn, that's cool. They like mentioned that, and then you see Jordan Grace come out, and I was like, what the F is happening? And I was like, because everyone talks about the Forbidden Door, as they call it in AEW with New Japan and AEW. And now you get TNA and WWE, and it's probably because of the Peacock deal, because I'm pretty sure TNA is going to be on Peacock or something like that. But listen, that's good for wrestling fans. I've said this forever. No wrestling company needs to bash another wrestling company or, think they're bigger than ever. Like there's a place for wrestling for a lot of wrestling companies in this world, and like WWE is never going to be number 2. It is just number 1. It just is what it is. So like, there's no reason you can still be like, hey, look at all these great other wrestlers in other places and like promote it. It's good for the entire business of wrestling. So seeing her show up, she had an incredible run in the Rumble. I was super impressed. Everybody was. People who didn't even know who she was were impressed. And then yeah, Robin, like you said, Jade's debut. Really well booked. They made her look incredibly strong. Going against Nia Jax was amazing. The stare down with Bianca Belair was unbelievable and clearly a match that I think everyone's going to want to see for WrestleMania. And then Bayley winning was the perfect ending. She deserves it. She is one of the biggest women wrestlers of all time. And I hope she gets her moment at WrestleMania where she finally captures this title again.
See, Sep, I like you got so close to being right. And I agree with 80% of what you said. But the fact that AEW exists, competition makes the WWE better. I don't think there's a spot for everybody. I think there's one spot, and I think it's WWE, because we saw Jade in AEW and we saw Jade tonight. And that is a completely different universe. I'll be you guys know me. I've been on record saying I don't know if Jade got it. I am a sole believer in WWE. Jade Cargill is a star. Like Tony Khan does not, if I learned anything tonight, Tony Khan does not know how to book stars, because how do you have a Marvel superhero looking Jade Cargill on your roster and you don't push her to the moon? And in 45 seconds in the Royal Rumble, she looked like the biggest name going. Triple H, whoever is booking this, is doing an amazing job. I'll let you talk.
Pump the brakes. She was a superstar in AEW.
Oh,
she never lost.
She looked like a.
You want to say this elevated her? I'm not mad at that, but let's not like diminish what
she's a household name, man. She is a superhero.
Well, I mean, WWE and AEW just different. Look, again, I agree with the point about the competition. I think AEW has helped WWE raise up its game. I don't think it only can be one wrestling company. I think there can only be one top dog, which is WWE by a mile. When I watched AEW over the years, there are a couple of people who stood out and I thought they can be stars. Obviously, you had Punk, but that doesn't count. He came over from WWE. Cody became a star really in AEW, but was also known before that. To me, the two that I saw in AEW and went, oh, okay, there's something there. One is MJF. you know, his ability on the mic, that sort of charisma. And the other was Jade Cargill, just the presence that she had going, oh, okay. And they did try to do the Goldberg thing, but as a great philosopher once said, there's levels to this. And the level of Jade Cargill in WWE, as good as she did look, as much as you saw that potential in AEW, you realize that the Nas button has been pushed.
It's one night and she was not in the ring that long. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's have her have a little bit of a run.
Seth, let me ask you, like, where do you see her? Could you see her main event a night at WrestleMania? Could you see it? Like, what if you were to book her right now?
I could absolutely see her in a match in WrestleMania against Bianca Belair. I think it would be great.
That could main event a night of WrestleMania.
Top matches on the card.
That could absolutely main event a night of WrestleMania.
I think so too. I agree. I did not think that before tonight.
I've said this before. I'm not going to try and slander Jade Cargill. She is a great wrestler, but there were a lot of matches in AEW where there was, let's just call it a little bit of sloppiness. And she's great. I'm a huge fan. I'm not trying to say she's not.
I'm not talking about Pat. I'm talking about tonight. She looked like she belonged.
You guys remember we talked about this months ago when she was coming in. I said the best thing they could do for her was to not put her on TV right away, send her to NXT, let her train and study the WWE way, get as many reps as she can with the talent down there, and then debut her. And they've done exactly that. They literally did what I had suggested and what I said they should do. So from my point of view, I'm sure she's even more capable and more ready now than she would have been if they had brought her right over and put her right on TV. I think having her sit back, watch, train, learn, because there is a distinct style in WWE and there is a way they work and they wrestle, and AEW and WWE are different that way. So I think they've done an excellent job of giving her the chance to truly succeed. And I, for one, am very excited to see where she goes, whether it be on Raw or SmackDown. Like, I'm excited to see, because I mean, they have to put her on TV this week, build the momentum. So I want to see what comes next. And that's why I'm saying I think she's going to be a star, and I think they're going to take her to another level. But I still want to be like, hey, it's step one of her WWE career. She literally was in one Royal Rumble match for maybe less than 10 minutes. Let's just let this progress before we crown her as the next great. You know what I mean?
To me, like, and I've been her biggest critic. Can we all agree that the Women's Royal Rumble was the best match of the night tonight? I think we can all agree on that.
Yes. And here's the thing. You either have it or you don't. Jade has it.
She has it. No, I can't. She has it. She has it. You can book her. Even the side look. I don't know if you guys caught it. She gave Becky a side eye after she eliminated Nia Jax. I was kind of like, "Why are you cheering? Like, I'm coming after you too. Like, what you mean? Like, I didn't do this for you. I'm coming after everything." And to me, like, I'm a fan. Off one night, I'm a fan.
Let's get to the Roman Reigns hate section of the show. You got the Fatal 4-Way, which I thought was a very good match. I thought the ending was exactly what it should have been. One, I think AJ was the one to take the pin, because there's no need for LA Knight to squash what he's got going on right now. Randy Orton just came back. AJ Styles is the one that could afford it. Two, I think it was Roman was due for a win that Solo came out for that bit in the match, but he didn't impact the very end. And it wouldn't have made any sense if Solo didn't come out in a no disqualification match. I thought it ended exactly as it should have, and it was a very good match.
I need you to unpack that a little more. You said it was exactly what it needed to be. Like, and I know me and Steph both know you are the biggest Roman Reigns fan probably on the East Coast of America. I need you to why did you enjoy that match? Please. I know you just said it in bullet notes, but please break it down for the universe. Please.
I thought it had a good pace. I thought it had a good story. I thought it had good action spots. I mean, I thought LA Knight looked good in there. You sent the text saying how deceptively athletic he was. Seth said it was an excellent match after it was over, and then a half hour later tried to walk it back because he wanted to.
I'll explain what I mean when it's my turn. Hang on.
And like I said, Roman looked strong going into WrestleMania, getting the win. Nobody really looked weak in the process. And the guy who I thought could afford to lose did, because AJ Styles, to his credit, was great throughout the course of the match, performed excellent. But I don't think AJ, as excellent as his career has been, really is going for that next level or that next stage. So he was there to help carry it, and then he was there to wrap it up.
All right, so I'm going to explain why I thought the match was excellent. Because number one, booking wise, I thought it made a ton of sense. I thought the match was wrestled extremely well. I thought everybody hit their spots really well. There was no like miscues or anything, and it was a really great laid out match. And the finish to me was really smart because of the AJ Styles going for the move, LA Knight, basically botching it for him. So now Styles has that whole reason to come after LA Knight, being like, "You screwed me. I should have won if you weren't in my way. I would have been the champion." So like that all makes sense. And so when I say it's an excellent match, I mean like it was an excellently wrestled match. The reason I don't love that match is it's forgettable because I'm never going to think about that match ever again. It's never going to be like one I'm like, oh, that's like one of Roman's best matches. The only thing to me in that match that I visually can remember is the finish with the rope spot. Everything else, it could be any SmackDown, like a few spears, the LA Knight elbow drop, like it wasn't special. You know what I mean? Like,
but not every match has to be special. Like, do you remember every Royal Rumble match before WrestleMania that Hulk Hogan had, or The Rock had, or Stone Cold had, or John Cena
I didn't
had?
watch wrestling until 1991, so some of those matches I've seen on DVD.
But you can't just go back and like catalog in your mind every setup match that they may have had.
There are
the road to
matches
WrestleMania.
of like stars. Like I still remember the SummerSlam Triple Threat with Jesse Bobby Ventura as the referee. Like there are matches that are special that like stand out in your brain. This one just wasn't that.
Of course, but that doesn't mean a very well plotted, very well told story, very good match isn't a thumbs up. Like just because
I'm not taking away from the match.
In your mind for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, it was a good match, and like that's why like the whole show overall was really good because there was no bad match. Everything like made sense. It was laid out really well. But just because a match is good doesn't mean it's not forgettable, and doesn't mean that it's not like it is what it is. Like for me, Roman is so stale that I'm just over it. I'm ready for like his run to be over because I want him to go do something else. Solo Sikoa coming out. He didn't need to be there. It made sense because
it made sense because if he's going to interfere in every match, how is he not going to interfere when there's no
Robin said, I'll say this: Solo interfering made absolutely no sense to the point where this was the match. If you're gonna book him to WrestleMania, he wins clean.
But he did win clean.
He stacks everybody up 1, 2, 3. He puts Orton, he puts LA Knight, he puts AJ Styles on top of each other, and he pins them straight up.
Roman won clean. Solo didn't impact the end of that match.
Absolutely no sense.
I still respectfully disagree.
Any night to make Roman look like a legitimate star right before Mania, I'm gonna wreck every single one of y'all without even any help because I just came off of freaking an 8-month vacation and I'm gonna whoop y'all asses. That would have made sense. But the fact that he won by a full spear, he could have gotten pinned 4 different times. Randy Orton could have beaten him. LA Knight had him pinned at one point. AJ Styles had him pinned at one point, and there were interference in all of them. To me, he doesn't look strong right now. If you ask me, he doesn't. He has the streak. Let's be clear. He has the record. He has the streak. But Roman Reigns, to me, doesn't look strong. He doesn't look unbeatable. And to me, that it was a bad booking in that aspect.
I'm going to be on record. Stacking 3 opponents and pinning all 3 of them is terrible booking. You do not want to bury 3 of your top wrestlers for Roman Reigns. Let's just call
He's had the title for 3 and almost 4 years.
But that's a terrible decision. There's other ways of having him look strong without.
Okay, 2 people. AJ Styles and LA Knight could have taken a stack.
But here's the thing, guys. When Cody Rhodes does, and I now do believe Cody's going to win at WrestleMania, when he does, you're going to cheer extra loud because of all this. You're going to pop extra because of all this, because of this angst that you felt. Meanwhile, I will feel, as somebody who is a huge fan of Roman and his title reign, that it was justified him losing versus it would have felt a little bit cheap before. Let's get to Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. To me, this is actually the most forgettable match of the show, but not a bad one. The thing that stands out the most to me about this match is the finish with the ref. I thought that was brilliantly done.
I agree. The finish was great. The brass knuckle spot was amazing. You're nuts to say that. Like, that was I almost had this as match of the night because those two put on a clinic. What Logan Paul is able to do in that ring is like unbelievable. For a guy who is still relatively new to be able to hang with a wrestler as talented as Kevin Owens, like it is unbelievable. Kevin Owens
you're looking at Kurt Angle level type of quickness on picking up the game, man. Like, and I know people are gonna look crazy, but Logan Paul is on that level. You do not pick up the ring. The way he was working the hand, the facial expressions, getting fans involved, the nuances on even when he wasn't making moves, keeping everyone involved. This dude has studied wrestling his whole life. You cannot tell me Logan Paul is not a wrestling fan, because even if you look at the interviews he's done, I know he just did one with Randy Orton. He did one with John Cena. This man has studied the game even when he's not performing. He is a student. And they said it 20 times during the match. Logan Paul is a student of the game. This dude has it. And honestly, I hope he keeps that title for as long as possible, because he is it. He has that it factor that we talk about.
I don't want him to hold the title too long because I think he needs to drop it. I think he's going to fight Ray at Mania. That makes a lot of sense if Ray's healthy. I do think because of this finish, it does lead up to a potential rebooking of Owens versus Paul, which is great because I want to see them wrestle again. That cradled neck breaker that Kevin Owens does, when he hit that, I thought Logan Paul was like dead. I was like, oh my God, that move. I can watch him do that move all the time. It is always flawless. Yeah, it was so well done.
I'd like LA Knight and Logan Paul, actually. I think that's a good pairing for WrestleMania. Before we get into some of the stuff that they've said in the post press conference and wrap up, a couple of other things that I think are noteworthy we haven't hit on as of yet. Gunther continues to look like an absolute star. And the Braun Breaker moment, they put him over very strong. That was not like a little bit of, here's an NXT guy. He came in there and did some work.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Braun Breaker's run in NXT was great, and he definitely showcased. I'll be throw out two other things that we didn't talk about yet. Was number one, the start of the Men's Royal Rumble with Jimmy and Jay. I thought was a great tease to a potential Mania match. I really want to see those two go at it. I thought that was great. And the second thing was the return of Andrade. What do you guys think of that? I thought it was okay, not like super memorable.
I mean, Andrade's always been okay, so that was okay.
No, I saw Andrade. Like, it's not a secret that he was coming back. You could tell he was trying to get away from AEW as quickly as possible. He's cool, but yeah, you're back in WWE. But guess what? There's so many heavy hitters. I don't know where he lands right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you want to align yourself with Escobar, who to me has star potential.
That guy is so
I don't care. I feel like the Rumble tonight, the entrances of some of these superstars was like, yo, I could see you walking down the aisle at WrestleMania. Like, and to me, Andrade, even when he came out with a weird mask, and I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling it, bro.
That's the thing with the roster right now is stacked. There were only a handful of guys that came out where you're like, eh. Like, I would say 25 out of 30. You're like, oh, okay. Here comes a
you're right. I would agree. Because the men's roster is stacked, but the women, if we had to vote which Rumble is better, men or women, the women's match was freaking from start to finish. The women's match was fire.
The women's match had more memorable moments, but I think the men's match had like more like guys where you're like, whoa, wow. Whereas like women's like you had a few people from NXT and stuff that kind of like, you're not going to win. But
I think as a whole, it's the women. But when you boil it down to the thing that's going to have I think there are two lasting moments from this: Jade's debut and Punk and Cody finishing the Rumble and going for as long as they did to finish that Rumble, where you really weren't sure who was going to win.
Robin,
let me ask you both something. Like, in the last two pay-per-views, if you would have asked me, the Elimination Chamber last month, women had the top spot. To me, the women's Elimination Chamber was better. What was that?
The War Games?
War Games. I'm sorry. The War Games at the last pay-per-view and the Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble of this pay-per-view, the women have dominated. When do we start having a conversation of it's time to put them in the main spot? When do we start having that conversation? They've been showing out, bro.
We've already had the conversation. That's why Charlotte and Becky and Bianca and Sasha got to main event WrestleMania, because these women have been tearing it up for years now.
3 years ago. That was 3 years ago.
I'm no longer at the place where it's like, oh, when are we like? They're there. They've been there for a while. Like, they are on the same level as the men. They just need to be booked even more on like Raw and SmackDown, which sometimes there are, sometimes not. So a little more consistency there. But like, they've proven their roster, the women's roster,
the only reason
as good as the men's.
The only reason I bring that up because it seems like the main event of both nights are going to be 2 men main events where we know the women have showed out at lately. They've had the better main matches.
I'm not so sure. Again, I'm not so sure Bianca and Jade couldn't main event a WrestleMania, but we've been having this conversation about Rhea Ripley. You know, I've been saying it for a long time. I think the women are. I look forward to. Let me put it this way: I look forward to the women's matches as much as I do the men's matches. Nearly every single, I still like to say pay-per-view also, but what do they call them? Every single premium live event.
I think the problem is, Shane, when you look at WrestleMania 40 and the potential for this card, I truly just believe it's because this card could be legitimately so stacked that it's like you could have multiple main events. Like we're going to talk about
what does that card look like both nights? What's ended? I would like Royal Rumble just ended. So what do both nights look like? I'm asking both of you. What does both main events look like?
It's impossible to determine that because of Seth's injury. If Seth is wrestling, that's one thing. If he's not
wrestling, Seth is wrestling. They wouldn't have done Raw the way they did.
Absolutely.
So I think it is going to be Seth Punk, Cody Roman, Jade Bianca, Rhea Becky, Io Bailey, Logan Paul, LA Knight.
I want Logan Paul and Ray, but
who's Gunther going against? Maybe Jay and Jimmy. Would it be Gunther and then who? Sami Zayn?
So if I'm lining this up correctly, you've got CM Punk Seth one night and Cody Reigns the other night.
Sure.
But I can see Bianca and Jade taking the Punk Rollins spot, to be honest.
I could see it too. I feel like the women have done enough. That's why I'm asking, because I feel like the women have done enough to main event a night. And I didn't think about this before the night, but that Jade and Bianca.
That would be an incredible match, and it would be
that stare down was enough.
It was.
Yeah, that was
the thing. The Gunther spot is interesting because he could go against a lot of different guys. Because I can make an argument that Gunther deserves one of the main events. He has been the best champion over the past 365 days. He's my wrestler of the year. He's arguably the best wrestler on the planet right now. So, like, I almost want to see him in some of these matches more than other people. The question is, like, who do you put him against? He's just got
put him against Punk. That's the main event. You put title versus title, him versus Punk. That's the WrestleMania main event.
That's the thing. For me, if there's a way to get the title off of Rollins, because if he's really injured, he can't go, then I agree. Get the title on Punk ASAP, and Punk versus Gunther, that would be incredible.
All right. So before we get out of here, a couple things from the post-show press conference that I think will be noteworthy. And one might just get a chuckle out of you. Triple H, I'm not going to use all the cliched terms about what door people go through or anything like that because it's stupid and silly when talking about
what door people go through.
Like the forbidden door thing. I love it.
That's great. That's
Triple H also was asked about Vince McMahon twice. It seems like he dodged the question, but Cody Rhodes did not. Here's what Cody Rhodes said. Great question. I know as far as the news is concerned, we were finding it out and reading the same thing that you guys were reading. And he said a dark cloud, certainly. As far as TKO, Nick Khan and the board clearly took it very seriously, acted immediately. And looking at the future, I don't know the answer to that. And I think somewhere is really probably a basic tenet of just this crew more than ever from a roster standpoint is very family, never anything like this. Most of the time, wrestling locker rooms are fighting, talking trash, making fun of each other, sandbagging each other in the ring, all that nonsense. This crew is very team-based, and perhaps that's the ingredient everyone is looking out for, everyone. Obviously, as more news comes out, we'll be seeing it just like you do. We saw the, Slim Jim thing fall apart, but then they quickly jettisoned Vince and it all came back together. That's where I do think they were in front of it because Vince had already been sort of separated from the company. But it's another instance where Cody's looking like the face, being the one out there answering that question.
That's such a John Cena answer. Like, we're just we control what we can. And we're going to let the bullshit do what the bullshit does. Like, that was probably the most, I feel like if Cody Rhodes ran for president, people would vote for him because he has the perfect answer for everything, which is why the man should have the WWE title right now. Like, what a perfect answer to give to a tough situation, which is Vince McMahon. I got a lot to say about it, but I'm going to let y'all talk. Like, how y'all feel about the whole Vince McMahon being
I'll say this. Listen, this is a new company. Like, this is the first time in I don't even know how long since a McMahon has not been involved in WWE. Vince is gone. His dad.
1950s.
That's a long time. You know what I mean? Like Steph, Linda, they're all gone. Shane, they're not involved. So Hunter is the only one who's even got a remote connection to the family who's still there. And so they're treating this like a new company. And it's totally different than the way things would have been. Obviously, I think we all kind of know how things would have gone if Vince was still around. Brock probably shows up tonight. There's probably a lot of different things.
I'm not sure that Pat McAfee spot in the Rumble wasn't Brock's spot. That's just speculation, but I'm not sure that was the case.
There's just so many things.
I would have guessed Braun Breaker personally. I would have guessed Braun.
Either way, it's logical he would have been in that match. And it sounds like the board and TKO and the higher ups there are just like they are handling this like a real company. And like, listen, at the end of the day, sponsors have a lot of power. And if you're going to tell them, hey, you're going to lose a lot of money, they're going to react very quickly. We saw that.
I don't want to minimize anything, but and I don't even like to use "but" as a transition because it makes it seem like I'm taking away what I just said. I don't want to minimize anything. However, the idea of the WWE without Vince, like it felt like something that could never happen. That was something I realized was going to happen now, whatever year ago, 2 years ago, whenever that separation started. So it made this feel a little different because it felt like that had already been underway.
It's interesting you say that because from my point of view, I never visualized a world where he was not somewhere included in this company. He's just gotten by for so long with so many things under like his name that like he could have been tossed aside years ago for a lot of stuff he did. And obviously this is extremely serious and deserving of him losing his spot on the board and all that stuff. But like, it's still kind of wild to me to think about, like, he's just not there. And like tonight, it kind of felt like he was there. Like this felt like a different Royal Rumble. To me, the energy around the show felt very different. It was awesome.
I'll just give this perspective as someone who loved Vince McMahon. Like he, to me, I remember growing up 11, 12 years old back in 2001 and just thinking, I hope this man lives to be 1,000 because I don't know what the company is going to look like if he's not around. Like he gave us Austin, he gave us Rock. Like I owe this man my childhood. And the fact, and this is heartbreaking for me, the fact that these stories are coming out and the fact that like he may or may have not done these things, regardless, he's not a part of the company. And it hurts. It does hurt because this is someone I want to look at as someone like, damn, this is a good dude. This is a genius. This dude made the greatest product. To me, pro wrestling is bigger than the NBA, it's bigger than the NFL, it's bigger than any product because at the end of the day, it's cinema. But the fact that he's not a part of the company and he's being accused of what he did, like, dog, I can't rock with you. So it sucks. It sucks. And I'm glad Royal Rumble went as well as it did tonight. But the fact that McMahon's name isn't attached to such a dope product, to me, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. But the sweet part is it looks like the WWE is heading in the right direction without a Vince McMahon, which is something I never thought would happen.
So that Netflix documentary on Vince is going to be something else. That's going to be a long one.
Oh, that's a fact.
I'm excited how they're going to fit because that thing has got to be close to completion. And now with all this new stuff coming out, like how they're going to tie up the ending, is it just going to be like a bunch of text on screen, or are they going to actually like try and extend it, dive into this, and maybe delay it a little bit because they could go a lot of different ways on how they want to end that piece.
All right, let's rank the Royal Rumble out of 10. Go around the room. Sep, you go first.
I'm going to give it a solid 8.4.
8.4. You can just go 8.5.
You're talking about the PLE in general, right?
Yeah. The whole thing.
I'm gonna give it. It's not the greatest Royal Rumble. It did not pass 2001 Royal Rumble, so I'm gonna give it. But I will say it is a solid 7.8 out of 10.
I'd say it's like a 9 and 88 to 91, somewhere in that range.
7.8 is not a 9, bro. That's an 80, bro. What are we doing? It's 80%. There's 2 Royal Rumbles I put ahead of tonight. I put the 2000 Royal Rumble because of the Triple H Cactus Jack street fight that made Triple H the GOAT. And then I put the 2001 where Austin won his 3rd in a row, and that set him to WrestleMania. That, to me, that was the best. It did not pass those 2, but it is to me, it's the third greatest Royal Rumble.
The third greatest Royal Rumble of all time is only a 7.82. I guess that's
yes, absolutely. Because I hold the earlier ones freaking epic.
So the other ones must be trash.
The MSG one's also my favorite. I was at that Rumble, so
I love the MSG one.
It's my favorite one ever.
No, Cactus Jack and Triple H match is a top 5
I was there, trust
match
me. The match is incredible, and Cactus Jack is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Oh, they also had the tables, ladders, and chairs. They had the first tables match with Dudley Boys and freaking Hardy Boys. Like, dog, no, it's not passing that. It's not passing that. I'm sorry.
But I didn't say it was the greatest Royal Rumble ever. I just said it was like almost, you know.
I thought you were talking about PLE in general.
Oh, no, but I mean, I don't really think they miss anymore. To me, the biggest, most recent miss was probably SummerSlam, and that was still like good. It wasn't like it wasn't a bad show. It just like the ending didn't make that much sense. But another one
in all time is not a miss at all. That's dope. That's incredible.
Another one in the books for WWE as we head toward WrestleMania. Like I said, I think the two takeaways: Jade's debut couldn't have gone better. Cody Rhodes is undeniable. And you've just checked out The Needle Wrestling.